Hello. Whoops, I forgot to put the mic over here. Hey guys, welcome to Konsui Fighter Live episode 42 of
Man, we've been doing this for a little while.
A little bit.
It's been a while since we've been working on this game.
Yep.
That's true.
But hey, welcome everyone to Konsui Fighter Live. My name is Logan. I'm head of marketing and PR and all that here at Circean Studios.
Yep. I'm Shane Helms, the director.
And Sean, programmer guy.
Yep.
But yeah, got a good show today. We're going to be discussing our last character of development, which is Khan.
Khan.
Khan. If I had like buttons, or
Yep,
whatever,
yep.
quickly transition. It'd be fun. But so we're going to be talking about Khan, which at a lot of conventions.
We're going to be doing this all day.
Yep.
Yep. We don't normally talk about him just because he's kind of like a big deal. in the
Well,
game.
yeah, I guess
Story-wise.
minor spoiler warning. If you truly want to go in blind to the end game, you might want to skip through part of today, but I would implore you to consider checking out what we've been up to because we got a lot of cool stuff to share. So,
But everybody has seen Khan in some
in
fashion.
some form. Yeah.
Pretty much,
And
yeah.
the easiest one would be this one right here.
Uh,
I mean, like, dit,
What?
dit, there we go, right there.
little spinny thing.
Yeah.
Our logo.
Kinda.
And anyways, so we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about what we kind of we talked about this in the last episode. We did like a 2024 reflection video. So if you want to check that out, go to our YouTube page, and we have that stream up there. That was also a really fun stream because Jas, our lead artist, was here from Japan and was able to join in. So that was really cool.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit about 2025, so we're going to talk about more about 2025 in this episode. And I think, other than that,
Yep.
that's pretty much.
Yep.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
Good mix of what we've been working on recently and what's coming up next down the pipeline. So,
Yep.
But I would not be doing my job if I didn't have you all redirect your attention to this part of the screen. Sean, can you point?
I was
out
about to
for
say,
me?
do you want me to?
Yep,
Yeah.
right there.
that
you
tiny
see-
little icon.
You see a tiny little purple thing that might be really hard to see, and if
Yeah.
that's possible, or if
Look,
that's
we only had a couple minutes to
Right.
get
But
the
anyways,
updates.
it's the Steam Winter Sale.
Yep.
So if you are looking for, games to add to your wish list or potentially, buy from your wish list, our game is currently on sale for 10% off.
Yep.
At $17.99. Makes a great post-holiday gift with
Yep.
potentially all of those gift cards
Yep.
and or money that you got.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you get to join us on early access, so you'll get access to the game, our online modes. You'll get entry you'll get to start the story early, and all that until we fully release.
Yep.
And it also works great on this bad boy right here.
Yep.
The Steam Deck.
We have a native build for it.
Yep.
And then also, it's not on sale, but if you want an even more mobile version of that, you can also get it on Android.
Yep.
But on that note,
Do we
one
wanna-
last thing
Yeah.
is
we almost had a great segue there.
Almost.
right. And then if you look at any part, if you type in what exclamation socials, or if you click on, there should be a link somewhere either above us or below us on Twitch or YouTube that goes to our link tree to all of our social channels, which I need to add Blue Sky. We're now on Blue Sky, so
Yep.
if you're
Yep.
like me and tired of Twitter, we do.
You and millions of people.
We are on Blue Sky as well.
Yep.
So on that note,
Yep.
Now.
this was the segue you wanted. So.
Sure. Let's go to our other view to take a closer look at all of our recent updates and what's coming up next. So, as you mentioned, Logan, If you're just now joining our early access, and we just recently launched a new build. It's our 2024.12 build. It's the last one of this year. So let's take a look at one of the main features that's in there. Yeah.
Flipping.
Character flipping.
They can flip forwards and backwards.
They can at some of the different character flips in the game. So this may seem like kind of a not very significant thing.
Yeah.
Prior to this release, the characters would just immediately pop to the other side if you cross the threshold of being on the other side of them. And Jas had put together some flipping animations for us for each of the characters. So now they take a little bit of time to turn around. It's quick, but subtle. So why did we bother to do this?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of reasons from a gameplay mechanic and balancing perspective, but the biggest thing is cross-ups. So cross-ups are basically when you cross over the other side of the character and you hit from behind. And the problem is if the characters flip immediately, there's really no time opportunity for you to hit damage behind them very well. Now, maybe like you have attacks like Hitan's birds
Yeah.
that can kind of hit from behind, or the folding screen that Yuraku has. But like normal attacks or other opportunities that would normally be there haven't been there. So this kind of opens up a lot of cross-up opportunities. You can see here Yuraku's air kick is a really good one to get behind opponents, and you can even kind of land into a combo chain with that. Cross-ups are tricky because the opponent has to block in the opposite direction. So if they're not expecting it or they just don't time it well, that can kind of give you a good opportunity to take advantage of them.
Yeah. There's some really tricky ones too, like the birds where it kind of is forward and back in certain cases.
Sort of like an area control where it's really risky
Yeah.
because you kind of either need to know where you're going to be hit or just avoid that area entirely. So there's other opportunities too, like on knockdown, if you would flip, you flip upon wake up, which again offers some good like wake up, cross up, punish type opportunities. So it's kind of a small thing, but it has some pretty good gameplay implications. And
It
we
does
had to
smooth out the animation a bit.
yeah,
too,
that
which is
as
nice.
well. Yeah, visually it adds a little bit more context to the what's going on. So other things in this build which you can't really see, but there were some pretty good just core optimizations and bug fixes we put in place to address memory utilization, CPU utilization, and things like that for some interesting edge cases we found with the audio subsystem
Yeah,
on desktop
almost forgot about those.
systems and all of that. So that's been folded in as well right now. So from a current build features perspective, that's the new stuff. But as Logan mentioned, we've been working on a lot of other stuff lately. So we want to kind of show that off here. So we're going to show off some of what we've been doing with Khan's development here. And to kind of get us started, I wanted to kind of break down how Khan is structured so you can kind of understand the magnitude of the work here.
You gotta start with his content.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Khan is a little unique. Most of the characters that we have in the game, you just have their whole character frame. Maybe you have some animations for projectiles, which are separate from them, but they're largely just whole frame animations, and there's not that big of a deal. Khan is a little different in that he has a lot of these subcomponents that have their own state. They keep animating independent of one another, and kind of the combined behavior of them is what yields the different attacks and animations that he does. And there are a couple full frame animations, but this visualization is kind of a breakdown of the different parts of Khan. There's the main body, left and right limbs, the base panel, the wheel, the tornado. Couple attacks may bring in a couple extra elements, but each one of these has to be broken down into separate animations, frames, all of this in the editor and code and the content. Here's kind of an exploded view of like the different pieces broken up, so you can kind of see how the layering is intended. So naturally, because there's a lot of like components to it, we kind of had to put together a really dense spreadsheet of all the different body parts, all the moves, and what state they needed to be in for each of the different attacks. And this is kind of a overview of like how those are organized.
So much spreadsheet.
Yeah.
He had to build it, then I had to read this to put it into code.
So talk about that a little bit, Sean, as we get into this. This is a look at the content as well in the editor. Like every body part had to be broken up into its own animations. I'm kind of skimming through, but you had to take that and go off of the spreadsheet and wire up Khan. So talk a little bit about how he works with his moves, broadcasting, and that kind of thing.
So the way a lot of it's wired up, so for each animation that he could be in, the main body will kind of signal to all of the components what he's doing, and dependent on what state they're in and blah, 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 they need to play certain animations or do certain things. And that can even tie back to like the main body waiting on the components to finish and vice versa. So it gets really complicated, but yeah, there's all these separate state machines for all the components that we have to manage.
So like, give an example. Like if the light punch was executed or something, how does that propagate?
Yeah, so the main body like signals I'm doing a light punch, and then all those individual parts, mainly like the forward arms would do their animation, and maybe the main body does some animation. But some of the others might just be kind of doing their idle animation. Like I don't think the tornado moves
does
much.
Anything special.
So there's a lot of those cases. Or like I know there's some special modes, like when we get into transformations, that like they handle completely differently in that mode. So that's a whole other layer to it. But it's kind of interesting.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So just kind of putting all that together, this is kind of a debug view that we put together. I took some clips from it. So talk about what we're looking at a little bit here.
Yeah. So we're just triggering each move independently, like every 2 seconds. And then you can see the state of all the individual limbs. Some of them obviously have like some filler animations.
Content.
Yeah.
Yep.
But all the main stuff is kind of there for the most part. It's still my favorite.
I had to put it in there.
Yeah. And you'll see a few of these too. They'll be like really short firings.
Cut out most of those. Yeah.
We're still working on fixing some of the animations, and some of the way we're triggering this isn't like how you would trigger it in gameplay. So it's a bit hacky, but we just wanted to make sure that it's actually like triggering all the individual components properly, and then they're going back to their proper state. And there's some extra logic we need to still add. Like there's some layering issues that we have occasionally. So we'll have to kind of work those out as we go. But at least from a high level, all the states are kind of there. Now we got to actually like test them, finish the animations, and then wire up like how they actually get triggered from the controller.
The dynamics of the moves. There's a lot that's not here yet.
Yep. There's a couple funny broken ones like jumping.
Yeah.
He just kind of floats higher and higher until he falls.
Like a lot of the special dynamics need to be implemented to get the actual moves propagating. The animation timings are not actually like set up yet. This is just running through a standard frame interval for everything to test.
Think we have any damage or
no hitboxes yet or damage. We do have physics objects. That's why Khan's able to push Isamu around here. So that's some of what we're going to be looking at in the next release cycle, is getting most of Khan's attacks flow at least down for his standard move set.
This will help a lot though, like kind of piecing all the pieces together and testing things out. At least all the bases there for us to work with. Plus I know you did a lot of work kind of related to this with the content, like actually aligning all the layers. So there's a massive
we have a big
Photoshop.
like 5 gig and counting like full canvas version of all his frames, which allows us to keep the alignment consistent and everything just consistent, and break down the subcomponents really easily. So
then when we get like the final animation, you can just swap those in basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So Jas is working on kind of the first round of extra frames that we need for Khan. There'll be a couple back and forth iterations of that as we round out a couple more of his moves that need to be put together, but pretty solid baseline for our first iteration for Khan.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we had to do a lot of things to kind of break the system, but
Yes,
there'll be a
and
few
there's
more.
more to
Yeah.
do for sure.
But it'll be worth it because he's pretty unique.
Khan does have some interesting, like, unique aspects. Like, he doesn't jump. That's his stance change. As a result, he can do things in the air position that other characters normally can't do in air, like blocking and the same normal attacks and things like that. So wiring up some of that's going to be interesting when we get to that phase.
Yep.
All right.
Have we showed the stage before?
Yeah, I think we've shown it in a few previews.
Once,
Yeah, this is one phase of Khan's stage.
Yeah.
In the background of that view. So another thing that you've been looking at that is this is going to be coming further down the pipeline, but we are kind of scoping out some of the initial
back end.
Yeah, back end work for friends list management. And I have some caveat. These are just rough mock-ups. This is not necessarily like final look and feel. I just threw something together to get the concept there. But we're first looking at adding friends to your friend list because there's a good bit of like back end flow we need to do for that.
Yeah.
So I put together a mock view of what the ad screen would look like.
Sure.
Can you explain how this is going to work?
Yeah. So just from a high level, like you always still have your local friends. So like your Steam list and stuff, you can still invite from there. But this, we wanted to have some way to manage, common friends that you have in the app.
Or cross-platform.
Or cross-platform is a big one. We're using a third-party service from Microsoft called PlayFab.
Yep.
Blanked out. They have some basic friend management stuff, but they don't have certain other parts you would expect, like adding a friend. Well, or adding a friend, but you have to like already essentially have a communication
establishing the
somewhere.
relationship.
Yeah. So we've kind of built out the system that we've thought of after a bit. I think it'll work out well. So we're basically generating this number that's like a friend code, kind of similar to Switch.
Yep.
It'll be kind of random each time. So you don't, every time you do it, you might get a new code, but it'll be a nice short code. You'll hand that to your friend. Your friend will hand theirs to you. And then in the back end, we're kind of cheating. We're essentially making a multiplayer match with the combined codes. And then once you match, that confirms that you both have the same codes.
Right.
And then from there, we'll add you to
a
the
friend
list. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're this again, not final, but like we have our list view. That'll be kind of the foundation for our friends list view. Once we get that together, this is just a basic mock-up, but we may have some other information on here about your friends. We have a basic status in here, but if we want to get fancy, we could potentially show like what they're doing in app. If we wanted to, we could maybe show some of their statistics or like stats when you've played them, like have an ongoing like win counter and other stuff like that. So we'll have more on that as we get closer. This is a few builds away from being in the release, but
some bits of it are wired. I haven't tested them. Like actually like adding the friend is mostly there.
So, okay, so question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you go, so that link code is going to always be different every time you start the game.
It's like think of it like a ticket you're getting to add your friend at that time.
Yep.
So once you do this,
it's permanent. They're permanently added to your list.
Okay, so then I won't ever have to do it again.
Correct. It's just a one-time like, hey, I want to add your Android account to my friend list so I can link you there, or or hey, I don't have you on Steam, but let's just add this, or maybe prospective other platforms in the future.
So would you have them multiple times?
No, PlayFab knows how to collapse them into the same like player. So like if you already have them on Steam or something, it'll recognize, oh well, that's the same profile.
Yeah,
there's nothing to add. So yeah, it does take care of that kind of stuff in the back end.
Yeah. But we will still have to work out some of the communication of like when somebody's online and how you invite live and things like that. Part of the complication we have here too is we're trying to avoid having a third-party server in the middle.
Right. That
we have to pay for and maintain. But also like even long term, like as long as PlayFab works, this should just work.
And if PlayFab, God forbid, at some point like exited stage left, we could at least centralize all of the online features in
Yes.
another solution,
Yep.
kind of targeting the same.
And to
process.
be fair, we've built it in such a way like certain components will always still work, like local multiplayer.
Yeah.
Does not rely on
Always,
that.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely helped us a lot on some of this. It's just, yeah, some of those weird little missing components, like seeing your friends online or like what
Right.
platform they're playing on, we might have to work out ourselves. But yeah,
Yep.
it's a good start. I even like tried to build in some smarts, like we'll be able to know if the code is valid that you've entered.
Right.
So kind of like a credit card has like a little check key on it.
Yep.
So, yep, should work out pretty well.
So why, if you go to the next one,
Yeah.
Mhm. Why are you offline?
why am I Kenta?
I did that because, so to be honest, I did the references for Isamu.
hmm
Sean digs Hitan.
I did.
I kept the icons that were there for the training module. So I was trying to match up who would be the best fit for here. Logan did the references for Kenta,
He
and
did?
Jas really liked Yasuo's character design. So I don't know.
Kinda
That was
was.
my excuse for
Yep,
picking
that works.
who I did, but yeah.
Yeah, ideally we all, yeah, like you said, show like what platform they're on, maybe
Right,
if they're in the
yeah.
menu.
And even like the character icons, like I
Yeah.
haven't really decided. Like to
There's
start, we may have it where you make like an online card so you can pick one of the normal character portraits.
yeah,
Eventually, we may incorporate the actual platform icons, but there's quite a few complexities to getting that to work,
Yeah.
especially cross-platform. But those are all things like down the road.
Yep.
We may enhance with better support as we have time. That obviously is lower priority than some of the core stuff we have going on. But yep.
it's
A
getting
look
there.
ahead.
Yeah.
So speaking of more important things,
Uh-oh.
one of the other things that I've been doing recently is kind of some of the updated game design planning. There's still a fair amount to do here, but I wanted to call out some of the key areas that I'm focusing on here. So neutral gameplay is one area we definitely want to get any more improvement that we can. Mix-ups are still kind of there. Like a lot of our setup, because we don't have low highs, focuses more on timing, reach, and mobility. That's really where the sweet spot is. But I'm looking at some other ways to kind of slice it to see if there's any other opportunities to improve the neutral gameplay. The big area to me right now is the back and forth. We still, so we've done a lot to kind of improve this, but I think we're now in a point where it's almost too easy to combo. And so you get in a lot of these phases where, one person takes the advantage and they can just hold that advantage for a long combo chain. And there's very few opportunities to reclaim advantage or to counter. And so I mapped out some different things. What that does mean is, like, I think we're going to head down a path where combos are going to be less extravagant. They're not going away, but a 3 or 4 hit combo is going to be kind of like the extreme of 3 or 4 linked attacks and that kind of thing. And that kind of goes into the next aspect as well, is the skill ceiling. I think we've done a lot to help improve linking and chaining, but it's almost too much. And there's not a lot of skill needed to execute particular moves. We want to require a little bit more skill there. Like, you need to get a feel for the pace and timing of the character. And some of this has to do with the way that we're currently buffering special moves. When you're doing a move, it basically just queues up the next move. So we're going to need to probably consider testing out, maybe not completely eliminating the queue, but maybe capping like when you can get the queue should be a little bit of a soft buffer to smooth out your execution time, but not to like completely omit skill requirements. So we're going to be experimenting with some different approaches to that to help with that and some of the other mechanics that have like timing specific things, tightening those up a little bit more to see where we can get a good balance. The TTK, time to kill, we've talked about this before, but like a lot of matches end in KOs without getting even close to running down the clock. So we're
Yeah.
probably going to look at expanding the health pools for the characters after we get the balance revisions dialed in. We just got to be careful not to do that too much, because if you expand the range, you're flattening the damage, which means damage from one class of attack to the other is less distinct.
Mhm.
So we got to find the sweet spot in there for that. And some of the things we'll probably do with the skill ceiling and advantage and that focal point will kind of help with this as well.
Yeah, because I know you do similar things like scaling damage on combos and things.
Yes,
so,
yes, exactly.
there's ways to buffer that.
Character balance, this is always an ongoing thing, but the key thing with this is, considering all the above, we have a very linear balance now. Like, characters as a whole are kind of bucketed into, this is a slow character, so they have high damage across the board and longer execution times in general. We kind of need to like intermingle the characters a little bit more, where there's overlap in the capability range between them a little bit more. So they're not quite as linear and monotone. And this is something I've been planning for a while, but I think it's kind of, with the other considerations, mapping out pretty clear. And then feels fun, like,
Oh, yeah.
with any game, like, we want to keep it feeling fun. This is kind of more of like a mantra of like, I have certain like core values we're looking at, you know, from flow to ease of execution and approachability and strategy depth and all sorts of stuff. We just want to make sure that we're preserving and enhancing that with all the adjustments we're doing where we can, and keeping that. So obviously a lot more to come, I think, in some of our future streams. We're going to do a deeper dive on this, because we're going to be standing up a lot of these changes in the experimental channel for you guys to try and give us your feedback and, you know, help us kind of dial in what really works best.
Yeah, I know, like, we've talked in the past, just off and on, of like, you know, some of this is about balance to some degree, but you also have to have some degree of imbalance to keep it fun.
Correct. Yeah.
Otherwise, everything's just monotone. So
there needs to be
the really hard part.
It's a balance of the balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be like riding that line between good mix and fair. So.
Yeah.
All right. So with that note, one of the other upcoming things is our advanced training module. And this actually is going to be one of the main player-facing features in the next release that we're pursuing. So this is basically adding a suite of tools to the free training mode that will allow you to customize the AI behavior, look at frame data and hit regions. I have like a preview here of a versus match with some of the overlays that we have now on. You can see the physics areas, the hurt boxes, the damage areas and things like that, all called out there. But yeah, so we're going to be giving you the ability to kind of tinker with this. We'll probably have some stats on screen for things like scaled and unscaled damage, frame counts, distances, all that kind of stuff. So
lots of nice geeky stuff.
the hope is that by equipping the community and ourselves with that same suite of tools, we have a good foundation to start labbing some of these changes with the community and get good feedback. So
well, and a lot of times at the different conventions we've gone to, like, people have requested, like,
yes,
will you have something like this?
Yeah, and this has always been in the plan.
Yeah.
It's just we've had some more critical features to get in place before we start really like fine tuning some of this stuff with the community. So
well, and at this point, like, a lot of the major systems are done, or at least are pretty far on down the pipeline. So now we can start working on things like this.
Yeah, I mean, we have the tools now where people could even test play online pretty easily and see how things feel. So, yeah. So,
I guess related to that, if anybody has any suggestions, maybe. But yeah, we have some ideas. Gotta throw it together.
So something else I've actually been working on the side.
This will be a big
one. We've talked about this before. This I've been dabbling at this during the holiday break because I couldn't stop
dabbling.
So we talked about this before. Alternate color palettes for the characters. So we've mentioned this before. We have a problem right now with how we do alternate colors.
It's not a problem if you're okay with aliens.
Yeah,
Samu is Hulk.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Or did you get like Nickelodeon slime?
I don't.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
slimed probably. So the current approach that we have just does a broad hue shift on the entire frame set.
It was a nice, quick way to get it working.
Right. And the problem with this is that like a lot of the results are just not great. Like everything gets shifted, including like hair and skin
Skin,
tones and other even just other things like Isamu's flames become weird colors or things like that. The mirror
I would
characters
actually
that
be down
are
to see the flames.
inverted.
yeah.
Well, I think the current build you can see some of them are different, but um yeah, and you can't, shift specific colors. So we couldn't say like, oh yeah, we want to like shift Isamu's shirt color, but keep the armor color this, or shift that independently a little differently.
Currently,
yeah.
we would have to have like a whole separate set of content. It just
Right,
makes
right.
it complicated.
So the problem with that is that like right now the alt colors either just don't look very good, or we've kept them so subtle so they don't look bad that it doesn't do the point of distinguishing them from the other character.
Yep.
So the solution to this is hue maps. So this is what I've been prototyping. Basically, the issue is that we already have pre-baked frames. We've colored all the frames. We don't have every frame broken out into color regions or anything like that.
Yeah,
That
ideally you would. But
that would be an insane amount of work.
Yeah.
And honestly, there are other ways to accomplish that, and this is one of them. So what is a hue map? A hue map is basically just, this is the coloration of every pixel, the hue, but at a neutral luminance and saturation. A lot of our characters only have palettes of a couple key colors,
Yep.
which are generally pretty distinguished from one another. So if you tear out the shading and border lines and other like fine details, you can actually find unique color regions that represent each of the different areas of the
This
sprite.
almost looks like beautiful pottery.
Yeah,
Yeah. So once I kind of went down the path of like, all right, we're going to use like a hue mapping approach. This allows us to mark up specific colors as a target region, and we can define hue offsets for those specific regions. So that allows us to shift different areas of the palette independently. It isn't perfect.
Yeah.
There are some areas of overlap. For example, for Kenta, his hair tone does hit some of the gradient of his kilt. So those things would have to be kind of grouped. But I do have some potential solutions for that. I'm thinking about if we care that much.
It'd be nice to like box it or something.
That's kind of what I'm going down is
Yep.
like we may draw in like regions to shift. But anyway.
Yep.
But overall it works pretty well in testing. The other nice thing is because we're mapping most of the fundamental colors, this does preserve some of the extra elements like Isamu's flames or Kenta's rocks. Now I need to test this more broadly to see if there is any overlap with those elements for other characters, but so far it's looking pretty good. And again, regions may provide a way to kind of isolate some of that. So let's take a look at the results. This is just some sample color shifts I threw together. They're not final colors, but you can definitely tell like a lot of these are way more even looking without like the core element shifting as heavily. And if we really wanted to,
You thought your eyes were going crazy?
if we really wanted to, we could do some crazy like hair colors and stuff like I had on
I
Isamu
thought this
there.
was
But
that stupid dress
No,
thing.
no.
And I'm like, I swear to God, that was blue. Like
you stare at
2
it long
seconds
enough,
ago.
it changes color.
fading between a couple different color palettes
Yep.
here. Kenta just has one alternate. Isamu has like 3 or 4 like just perspective versions. So again, these aren't like final color schemes or anything. This was just a proof of concept, but
Well, it looks great.
the results are a lot better
Oh,
than the current solution.
And a lot less work for us
yes,
to not
yes.
redraw or define things manually.
Right. So the tooling right now is kind of basic.
Yeah.
I'm manually defining the transformations in code and like exporting them to test it. I might like big picture. It'd be great to have a full GUI for this, but like that might be kind of overkill. I think I may just make this a feature where I have a JSON doc that explains the different palette transforms,
Mhm.
and it can roll it into the graphics format.
Yeah.
So
Because the nice thing is our graphics format. These are all just lookups for the colors,
Right.
so we can just have multiple lookups.
yep, multiple palettes to
Nice and
to
easy.
utilize. So this will also apply to the mirror characters. Like we do an invert and shift on them. So I'm still experimenting with a few other like modifications that we can do, and this is again like down the road,
Mhm.
but this will eventually become our methodology for alt palettes. We'll probably have a way where you can pick your color palette in
Yeah.
game.
I assume we'll have a handful per character.
Yeah, the final number per character and stuff, I don't know yet. I think we need to experiment to see like how many visually proper like versions across the characters we feel like we can achieve without any of them looking
Yeah.
clunky.
Yep.
And kind of what our mantra is. Again, like I said here, like I did one for fun where I shifted Isamu's hair, but like otherwise I kind of kept hair and skin tones similar.
Mhm.
Like I don't know if we want to go crazy doing a lot of that or just keep it kind of simple, but we'll see. We
Yeah.
kind of need to see like where our sweet spot is for our approach. And I'll be working with Jas on these as well. I kind of want to get his like feedback and sign off on the color profiles that we land on. But I'll give him some perspective designs that we can shoot for. So
Yep. I guess ideally we could even just show him the tool and he can like mess with some of the.
well, that's what I'm
hues or-
saying. Like I
Yeah.
don't think we're gonna have a GUI.
Sure,
I
okay.
think it'll be more like, hey, here's some samples,
Sure.
like, and we'll kind of dial it in. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see.
eventually it would be nice to have a tool.
Yep.
But yep. So I think that's most of the stuff that we've been doing recently. A little bit of a sneak peek at some things to come.
Yep.
I'll turn it back over to you, Luke.
Like there was an extra slide added to
Yeah,
this presentation.
at the very end.
So if you remember
Oh,
that thing that was super tiny,
Yep.
it's not above me anymore.
it's not above it anymore.
Yep.
But yep, again, if you've liked what you've seen so far, again, you can pick it up in early access on the Steam Winter Sale
Yep.
for $17.99.
Yep.
What a deal.
If you haven't already, be sure to hop in our Discord. It's kind of the most direct way to give us feedback on the game and just engage with the community as we work together through early access.
Yeah, and yeah, we're pretty active on there, and Shane posts dev updates quite a bit. I'm always on there chatting, so please, I'd love to have you join the community, and we can chat about the game and
Yeah.
any other fun game things.
Yeah.
So
That's what I got, Logan.
Yeah.
so so now we'll go ahead and kind of talk into 2025. So what you've just seen is kind of
A look ahead.
I'm literally in like the worst spot.
Yeah, I noticed it keep getting
The
split by the
is
sun.
As
just
you could
yep.
tell.
Yep. I don't know which side it's coming
It's
from.
probably
Oh,
that
it's
one.
this one.
Yep.
I'll hold my arms.
Yeah.
You're on your.
Yep.
We need
Give
to
it
get
an
a
hour.
thing to cover that. Probably.
Eventually.
But yeah, so for next year we have a bit in regards to events. For sure, we will be going to NakaCon again.
Always a
So
good one.
That is March.
Like
So
the
this
middle
year,
of
so for the
March?
past 2 or 3 years, it's been in May,
Yeah.
and they have switched it to March. So we will be here. We will be there in March. The date specifically is I forgot. But
Yeah.
it's in March.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could
It's
just-
like
you
mid.
could just go to
Yeah.
nakacon.com.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll probably be doing another tournament there, because last year or this year's was really fun.
Yep.
And then there are other conventions that we'll be trying to go to. The biggest one that I want to look at is going to be Combo Breaker, and
Right.
I think it's Schaumburg, Illinois, so
Yep.
basically right outside Chicago. That's going to be kind of the main one I want to try to go to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're maybe trying PAX Rising again, but we'll
Right.
see.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always kind of a
Yep.
gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to again get us into PAX Rising for East and West.
Hmm.
So if we are a part of that, that would be cool.
It'd be nice
But-
to try West because we haven't done that one.
Right.
But yep.
And then I want to have us do more streams.
Yep.
So I've been looking at different avenues for that as well. And
We've all been very busy this fall, winter.
Evidenced by her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, even other stuff.
Well,
Like there was that whole
there's-
month
oh, yeah.
both of you were on trips. So yep.
But
We'll get better.
and that's at least 2025 in the events side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Build wise, you know, some of the features we talked about here, the most recent, or the one that will be coming next, I guess, is the advanced training mode.
Mhm.
And then we'll be getting into some of the experimental gameplay stuff. That's a lot of what the player facing stuff will be
Oh,
while we're busy working on con in the background.
I guess there's all the character tutorials. We're
Yes, we
partially
have
done with
more.
those,
We have
but-
more that'll be incorporated as we go.
But those
Yep.
might be player facing as well.
Eventually,
Yeah.
yep. Once we
So-
have the full set
Yes.
of Core 8 ready, we'll
Yep.
put those in the build.
But yeah,
So, yep.
yeah, it's kind of getting to the point where it's a lot of polish and a lot of stuff you might not see for a bit. But
Yep.
we'll probably
We're
keep
trying.
you
We're trying to
updated.
prioritize at least some form of player-facing content with each release while we are iterating on all the
Yeah,
story and final end game stuff. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, especially if we have like play testable things.
Yeah.
Like new mechanics. Or,
yeah.
well, not really mechanics, just tweaks to timing.
Well, there may be a few mechanical
Okay.
tweaks. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah,
Yep.
But
Cool.
we are kind of in our home stretch
basically
now, with Khan being our last character.
Yep.
So we are
a lot of
seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
if you
a lot of major
can
things are
say.
A
kind of
lot
done.
of big
Tell.
features
Yeah.
are locking in.
Uh,
Yep.
So we're really excited if you are a streamer or a content creator. Again, you can also reach out to us. We'd love to have you try out the game as well with your
Mhm.
community.
Yep.
I'd really like to try to plan some kind of fun like streamer events. with, like,
Collab.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can always reach out to us on our social media channels on either Twitch, Blue Sky, Discord, Instagram, which you can see all of all of our handles kind of
You wanna-
from
Yep.
the bottom.
You want to go slightly old school? We have like a social email.
Yep.
But yeah.
But I think that's all I have.
Yep. Yep.
But,
Pretty good update.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then again with our episode last in November, which was 42, which was kind of a recap of 24. So we had a lot this year that was really great. So
Big
again,
year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
go check that out. And other than that,
Happy New Year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Happy New
Happy
Year's.
New Year.
Hopefully you had a good holiday.
Yep.
Mhm.
I also meant to. Sean is the only one who is festive right now,
Yep.
and so I just have this boring, I mean, I guess it's reddish, so it's like red and green is festive.
Yeah, close.
I
And
just
then,
wore my
you just have
Godzilla shirt.
Godzilla.
I mean,
Yeah.
Which
you
is-
can't go wrong with Godzilla. I should have put like a little like Santa hat on his
Yeah, there
head
you go.
on the shirt, and that would have qualified.
That should be like, if we ever do like,
Edited into OBS.
Yeah.
holiday screens,
With floating.
like, just
Yep.
give you, like, a little sticker to put
To put on
over
there.
each, so like it's Valentine's Day, it's just a bunch of hearts.
Yep.
But on that note, thank you everybody for joining again. I'm just
Yep.
gonna go ahead and go back to this one real quick.
Mhm.
You can check out the game on the Steam Winter Sale. We also do have a demo,
Yep.
Yep.
which we have, which that includes two of the characters. You can play online with your friends on as long as they have the demo as well,
Mhm.
and then the first chapter of the story. So.
And that's on PC and mobile.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yeah, I believe we are pretty good on
All versions are
Baseline,
in parity
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yep. So you can find the demo and the full version of the game on both Android and Steam.
Shane even put a lot of work into like being able to build, and it builds all the platforms.
Yeah, we didn't. We talked about that a little bit last stream, but
took a
one
bit
of
of
the
work.
other things we did do recently was all the build automation.
Mhm.
So like now when we have a release candidate, we can basically kick off a process and it
Yeah.
goes right into the internal testing channels. And if it's good, then we can promote it up to experimental and then public. Eventually, and we mentioned this
there's that
before,
too.
we're going to be expanding on some of our automated testing to help certify the release, which will cut down on our manual testing that we
Yeah.
do every time.
There's a lot of manual work to test all the modes.
That stuff's not as fun to talk about on
Yeah,
the
no.
stream, but there's
There's somebody out there that's
it
technical. that might
does help
appreciate it.
guarantee the quality for everybody playing and make sure that the game holds up good. So
Yeah, we found some interesting bugs like last minute with that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good to do. Anyways,
on that note,
Yep.
Yeah.
until the next,
Yep. And we
Konsui
will
Fight
see you
Live.
all in 2025.
Yep.
And thanks for being here. Again, please follow us on our social channels. You can find our link tree pretty much within a clickable view on whatever you're watching.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
And we look forward to chatting with you on there. Otherwise, thanks for joining, and we will see you all in 2025.
Awesome. Thanks.
See ya.